1987. Dean Martin's Beverly Hills mansion. 20 of the best doctors in Los Angeles had examined him over the past 6 months. Specialists in pulmonology, cardiology, nephrology, psychiatry. They'd run every test, prescribed every medication, tried every treatment protocol available. Dean was dying. Not from his emphysema, though that was bad. Not from his kidney disease, though that was worsening. Not from his heart condition, though that was weakening. He was dying from something the medical charts couldn't capture and the prescriptions couldn't treat. Then Frank Sinatra walked into Dean's bedroom, took one look at his best friend sitting in his chair staring at nothing, and said 5 words that cut through months of medical analysis. "Dino, you're dying of grief." What Frank understood, and what 20 doctors had missed, would expose a truth about healing that modern medicine still struggles with. Sometimes the body fails not because of disease, but because the soul has given up. This is the story of how Frank Sinatra fought to save his best friend's life by treating the one condition no doctor had diagnosed. Before we explore this powerful story about friendship, grief, and what medicine can't heal, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. This isn't just about 2 legends. It's about understanding that healing requires more than pills and procedures. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from and let's begin. Asterisk. March 21, 1987. The day Dean stopped living. Dean Martin's son, Dean Paul Martin, was piloting an F-4 Phantom jet fighter during a routine training mission with the California Air National Guard. His jet crashed into Mount San Gorgonio during a snowstorm. Dean Paul was 35 years old. His body wasn't recovered for days. When Dean got the news, something broke inside him that would never heal. Friends who were there said Dean collapsed. Not dramatically. He just folded in on himself, sat down, and stopped responding to the world around him. "The light went out," Frank Sinatra said later. Right there, in that moment, Dino died too. His body kept going, but everything that made him Dean Martin, the smile, the music, the joy, it all just stopped. For the first few weeks, everyone assumed Dean was in shock. It was normal to be devastated after losing a child. They gave him space, sent their condolences, assumed time would help him process the grief. But weeks turned into months and Dean didn't get better. He got worse. The medical decline. By summer 1987, Dean's physical health was deteriorating rapidly. He'd always had health issues. Decades of smoking had given him emphysema. His kidneys weren't functioning properly. His heart was weak. But these conditions had been manageable for years. Now suddenly everything was failing at once. His daughter Deanna brought in specialists. A pulmonologist examined his lungs and prescribed oxygen therapy and new medications. A cardiologist adjusted his heart medications. A nephrologist monitored his kidney function and discussed potential dialysis. Dean took the medications. He used the oxygen. He attended the appointments. But he continued to decline. The doctors were puzzled. "Your father's conditions are serious," they told Deanna. "But they shouldn't be deteriorating this fast. Something else is going on." They ran more tests, checked for cancer, looked for infections, investigated autoimmune disorders. Every test came back either negative or showed only the conditions they already knew about. By fall, Dean had seen over 20 different doctors and specialists. Each one had their theories. "He needs better oxygen therapy. We should adjust his cardiac medications. Perhaps it's an undiagnosed neurological condition. Depression could be suppressing his immune system. We should try different combinations of medications." They were all treating symptoms. None of them were treating the cause. The symptoms no chart could capture. Dean's family watched him fade in ways that medical charts couldn't capture. He stopped eating more than a few bites at each meal. He lost over 40 pounds. His clothes hung on his skeletal frame. He stopped speaking unless directly addressed, and even then, his responses were monosyllabic. The man who'd entertained millions with his wit and charm now sat silent for hours. He stopped watching television, stopped listening to music, stopped doing anything except sitting in his chair, staring at the photograph of Dean Paul that he kept on the table beside him. His daughter Gail would visit and try to engage him. "Dad, it's a beautiful day. Want to sit outside?" "No, baby. I'm tired." "Dad, I brought your favorite food." "Not hungry." "Dad, please. You need to eat." You need to try. Dean would just shake his head and return his gaze to Dean Paul's photograph. The doctors saw the weight loss and prescribed appetite stimulants. They saw the lethargy and adjusted his medications. They noted the depression and suggested therapy. But they were treating Dean Martin's body while missing the fact that Dean Martin's spirit had already left. Frank's growing concern. Frank Sinatra called Dean almost every day. Dean would answer. His housekeeper would bring him the phone, but the conversations were heartbreaking. Dino, how you doing today? Fine, Frank. You eating? Some. The doctor's taking care of you? Yeah. Need anything? No. Thanks for calling. Click. Those were conversations with a ghost. The Dean Martin that Frank had known for 40 years, funny, charming, full of life, was gone. What remained was a body going through minimal motions while waiting to die. Frank visited when he could, though his own health wasn't great. He'd sit with Dean for hours trying to draw him out, trying to find some spark of the old Dean. Nothing worked. After one particularly difficult visit in late 1987, Frank told his wife Barbara, I'm losing him. Not to the emphysema or the kidney disease. I'm losing him to grief. He's dying because Dean Paul died, and he can't find a reason to keep living. The intervention that wasn't working. By early 1988, Dean's family was desperate. The medical interventions weren't working. The medications weren't helping. Dean continued to deteriorate despite having access to the best healthcare money could buy. They tried bringing his grandchildren to visit, hoping that might spark something in him. Dean would smile weakly at them, pat their heads, then return to his chair in his silence. They tried talking about the good times, about his career, about all the people who loved him. Dean would nod politely and say nothing. They tried getting him angry, hoping any emotion was better than this deadly apathy. Dean wouldn't engage. He'd just sit there, unreachable, trapped in his grief. One of the psychiatrists finally told Deanna the truth. Your father has what we might call complicated grief or prolonged grief disorder. But honestly, I've never seen a case this severe. It's as if he's consciously decided to die, and his body is complying with that decision. Can you help him? Deanna asked. The psychiatrist paused. I can prescribe antidepressants. I can recommend therapy. But if your father has decided he doesn't want to live anymore, medicine can only do so much. At some point, the patient has to want to get better. And I don't think your father does. Frank's realization in March 1988, on the first anniversary of Dean Paul's death, Frank Sinatra sat in Dean's bedroom watching his best friend of more than 40 years literally fade away before his eyes. Dean weighed maybe 135 pounds now, down from his normal 175. His skin was gray. His breathing was labored. He looked 20 years older than he actually was. The room was filled with pill bottles, medications for his heart, his lungs, his kidneys, his depression. 20 different doctors had contributed to that pharmacy on Dean's nightstand. But Dean wasn't getting better. Frank watched Dean stare at Dean Paul's photograph and something clicked. All these doctors were treating Dean's body. They were managing his physical symptoms, adjusting his medications, monitoring his organs. But they were missing the fundamental problem. Dean Martin wasn't dying of emphysema or heart disease or kidney failure. Dean Martin was dying because he didn't want to live anymore. His body was shutting down not because of disease, but because his will to live had been destroyed when Dean Paul died. The doctors couldn't see this, or if they saw it, they didn't know what to do about it, because it wasn't something you could treat with medications or procedures. You can't prescribe a pill for a broken spirit. You can't do surgery on a shattered soul. The confrontation. Frank stood up and walked over to Dean's chair. He turned it so Dean had to face him instead of the photograph. Dino, look at me. Dean's eyes slowly focused on Frank's face. You're dying. You know that, right? Dean nodded slightly. The doctors keep trying to fix your lungs, your heart, your kidneys. But that's not what's killing you. You're dying of grief. You're dying because Dean Paul died. And you've decided that means you should die too. Dean's eyes filled with tears, but he said nothing. I get it, Dino. I understand. When you lose a child, something breaks that can't be fixed. All these doctors, all these medications, they can't fix that break. But here's what I need you to understand. Dying won't bring Dean Paul back. It won't make the pain go away. It'll just mean you gave up. Still Dean said nothing, but tears were running down his face now. You've got 3 other kids who need you, Frank continued. You've got grandchildren who deserve to know their grandfather. You've got friends who love you. You've got fans who still remember every song, every performance. And you've got me, Dino. You've got me, and I'm not ready to lose you. Frank's own voice was breaking now. So here's what's going to happen. I'm not going to let you die like this. I'm not going to watch my best friend slowly kill himself with grief. We're going to fight this together, but you have to want to fight. You have to decide that your other kids matter enough. That your life matters enough. That living, even with this pain, is worth doing. Dean's response. For a long moment, Dean just sat there crying silently. Then he spoke, his voice barely a whisper. Frank, I'm so tired. I'm tired of waking up every morning and remembering all over again that he's gone. I'm tired of pretending I want to keep living when everything inside me died with Dean Paul. I know you're tired, Dino, but you don't have to pretend. You don't have to act like you're okay. You just have to keep breathing. Keep existing. Even if it hurts. Even if every day is hard. Just keep going, and maybe someday it'll hurt a little less. Dean shook his head. It won't. It's been a year. It hasn't gotten better. It's gotten worse. Then it gets worse, Frank said. But you keep living anyway. Not for yourself. For Deanna, Gail, and Richie. For your grandkids. For all the people who love you and need you still here. Dean's next words broke Frank's heart. What if I can't? What if I don't have that in me? Then I'll carry you, Frank replied. I'll call you every day. I'll visit as much as I can. I'll remind you every single day why you're still here. But Dino, you have to meet me halfway. You have to try. The plan no doctor had prescribed. Frank Sinatra left Dean's house that day and immediately started organizing something no medical team had thought to try. He was going to give Dean reasons to keep living, one day at a time. He called Dean's children and told them what he was doing. Your father needs more than medicine. He needs a reason to get up every day. We're going to give him that. Frank created a schedule. Every morning, someone would call Dean with a specific reason he mattered. Every afternoon, someone would visit with a specific memory to share. Every evening, someone would remind him of something to look forward to tomorrow. Sounds simple, almost childish. But Frank understood something the doctors didn't. When someone has lost the will to live, you have to rebuild that will brick by brick, day by day, moment by moment. The daily campaign. Monday morning, Frank called. Dino, it's Frank. I was thinking about the night we opened at the Sands. Remember that? The crowd went crazy. That was magic, Pally. That was us at our best. I'm keeping that memory alive, and I need you alive to share it with me. Tuesday afternoon, Dean's daughter Deanna visited. Dad, I'm bringing the grandkids this weekend. They want to hear you sing. Just one song. Can you do that for them? Wednesday evening, Sammy Davis Jr. called. He was still alive then. Dean baby, I just heard a young singer trying to do that some more. He butchered it. Made me realize nobody does it like you. Nobody ever will. Day after day, week after week, Frank orchestrated this campaign. He recruited friends, family, even former colleagues. Everyone had the same mission. Remind Dean Martin why his life still mattered. The doctor's skepticism. When Dean's primary physician learned what Frank was doing, he was skeptical. Mr. Sinatra, I appreciate your concern, but clinical depression doesn't respond to phone calls and pep talks. Your friend needs medical intervention. Frank's response was sharp. Your medical interventions aren't working, document. You've thrown 20 doctors and 50 prescriptions at him and he's getting worse. So maybe, just maybe, what he needs isn't more medicine. Maybe what he needs is more reasons to take the medicine you're giving him. The doctor had no response to that. The slow awakening. The change didn't happen overnight. There was no miracle moment when Dean suddenly recovered. But slowly, gradually, Frank's campaign started having small effects. Dean began answering the phone himself instead of having his housekeeper bring it to him. He'd say more than 1 or 2 words. He'd sometimes even make a joke, weak, half-hearted, but still a joke. He started eating slightly more. Not a lot, but enough that his weight stabilized instead of continuing to drop. Most significantly, he started engaging with his grandchildren when they visited. He'd sing a few lines of a song. He'd tell them a story. For brief moments, Flickers of the old Dean would appear before fading back into the grief. Frank noticed these changes and doubled down on his efforts. If small interactions helped, then Dean needed more of them. Frank started planning small events, nothing major, just reasons for Dean to leave his chair. "Dino, I'm coming over Tuesday to watch the game. Order us some food. Nothing fancy, just something we can eat while we watch." The request was strategic. It gave Dean something to plan for, a reason to think about tomorrow instead of just dwelling on yesterday. The first real smile. About 3 months into Frank's campaign, something remarkable happened. Frank was visiting, telling Dean a story about a disastrous performance from their early days together. The story was funny, and partway through Dean smiled. Not a polite, forced smile. A real smile. Then Dean laughed. Just a short laugh, nothing like his old hearty laughter, but unmistakably genuine. Frank stopped mid-story, stunned. It was the first real emotion other than grief he'd seen from Dean in over a year. "There he is," Frank said softly. "There's my friend." Dean's smile faded quickly, but it had been there. For just a moment, Dean Martin had felt something other than crushing grief. Frank had found a crack in the wall of Dean's depression, and he was going to keep hammering at it. The medical mystery solved. Interestingly, as Dean's emotional state improved, even marginally, his physical health stabilized too. His doctors were puzzled but pleased. "Your father's vital signs are better," they told Deanna. "We're not sure why. His conditions haven't changed, but his body seems to be responding better to treatment." Deanna knew exactly why. She told Frank, "You were right. The doctors were treating his body, but you're treating what's actually wrong with him. You're giving him reasons to let his body heal." One of Dean's psychiatrists later acknowledged, "There's a phenomenon we see sometimes where patients decline or improve based on psychological factors that we don't fully understand. The will to live, or the lack of it, can have profound effects on physical health." Mr. Sinatra intuitively understood something we should pay more attention to in medical practice: the limitations of progress. But this story doesn't have a Hollywood ending. Dean never fully recovered. He never returned to performing. He never regained his old joy in life. Frank's intervention kept Dean alive, gave him some quality of life, allowed him more years with his children and grandchildren. But Dean never stopped grieving. He never stopped missing Dean Paul. He never stopped carrying that weight every single day. What Frank's campaign did was prove that Dean could live with the grief instead of dying from it. That was a victory, even if it wasn't the complete healing everyone hoped for. Dean lived until December 25, 1995, Christmas Day, 8 more years than he might have had without Frank's intervention. 8 years of being present for his family. 8 years of life, even if that life included constant pain. What 20 doctors missed. The story of Dean Martin's decline and Frank Sinatra's intervention teaches us profound lessons about healing, medicine, and the human spirit. 1. Medical science treats bodies, but healing requires treating souls. The 20 doctors who examined Dean were all brilliant in their fields. They correctly diagnosed his physical conditions and prescribed appropriate treatments. But they missed the fundamental problem. Dean's body was failing because his spirit had given up. Modern medicine is incredibly advanced at treating disease but often inadequate at treating despair. We have drugs for depression but no prescription for grief. We have procedures for failing organs but no surgery for broken hearts. 2. The will to live is real and measurable. Frank understood something science is only beginning to quantify. The will to live affects physical health in profound ways. When people give up psychologically, their bodies often follow suit. Conversely, giving people reasons to live can improve physical outcomes. Studies now show that depression, grief, and hopelessness suppress immune function, increase inflammation, and worsen existing health conditions. Frank didn't need studies. He just understood his friend well enough to see what the doctors couldn't. 3. Love is medicine. Frank's intervention was essentially prescribing love, connection, and meaning. He gave Dean daily doses of friendship, reminders that he mattered, and reasons to keep existing. This wasn't touchy-feely nonsense. It was targeted intervention that treated the actual cause of Dean's decline. This teaches us that medical care needs to include emotional and social support. Pills and procedures matter, but so do human connection, purpose, and the feeling that your life still has meaning. 4. Grief doesn't follow a schedule. The doctors and even some of Dean's family members expected him to start getting over Dean Paul's death after a few months. But grief, especially for a lost child, doesn't work that way. Frank never told Dean to move on or get over it. He just told Dean to keep living with the grief. That acceptance of Dean's permanent pain, rather than trying to fix it, was crucial. 5. Sometimes saving someone means helping them survive, not curing them. Frank didn't cure Dean's grief. He didn't restore Dean to his former self. What he did was keep Dean alive and give him enough reasons to keep going despite the pain. That's still a profound victory. In our culture, we often think of helping someone as fixing their problem. Sometimes helping means just walking beside them through their pain. The deeper truth, what Frank spotted that 20 doctors overlooked, was this. Dean Martin didn't have 20 different medical conditions that needed treating. He had one fundamental problem: complete loss of will to live, that was manifesting in multiple physical ways. The doctors kept trying to patch individual symptoms while missing the source. Frank went straight to the source. He gave Dean reasons to choose life over death, day by day, moment by moment. Modern applications. This story teaches us how to help people who are struggling. Don't just ask, "What's wrong?" Ask, "What reasons do you have to keep going?" If the answer is none, that's the actual problem. Don't just treat symptoms. Look for the underlying cause, which is often existential or emotional rather than purely medical. Show up consistently. Frank didn't just visit once or give Dean one pep talk. He orchestrated a sustained campaign of presence and support. Give people specific reasons to live. Not generic "things will get better" platitudes, but concrete reasons. Your grandchild needs you. I need you. Tomorrow we're going to do this specific thing together. Accept that healing isn't always curing. Sometimes the goal is just to keep someone alive long enough for them to find their own reasons to keep living. Your turn. If this story made you think about someone in your life who's struggling, not from obvious illness but from loss of purpose or crushing grief, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Share this with someone who might need to hear that sometimes the cure isn't medical, it's being reminded why they matter. Drop a comment. Have you ever seen someone decline physically because they'd given up emotionally? How did you or others help them? Remember, 20 doctors with all their expertise couldn't save Dean Martin because they were treating his body while his spirit was dying. Frank Sinatra saved him for a while by treating what was actually wrong, giving him reasons to keep living. Sometimes that's the most important medicine of all. See you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring the human stories that remind us that healing is about more than science. It's about love, connection, and having reasons to wake up tomorrow.